Welcome back to Valley Boys TCG, CK here, and we got some Battle Spirit Saga. We are starting off set 3, and here we have purple on the left, purple core control versus, I guess, white aggro on the right. I think that's what we were running against. So my opponent gets the little gunny out, so we get the good start for white here, and I'm going to start off getting the worker Ant-Man out so we can try to get some little bit of core ramping. Worker Ant-Man, probably the best, if not one of the best cards to come out of set 2. So we go in just to go ahead and get that core ramp, and he decides to just trade. Now, this was a very interesting game 1 for us for this little tournament. We're having a box tournament this day, and we had a pretty good turnout. You know, turnout's been kind of low for Battle Spirits. Here we had a full 10 people sign up, so it was actually a pretty nice turnout this time around. So it's good to see the community starting to grow again. We've been working hard to try to get more people involved. So like I said, this is a weird tournament, or weird game 1, round 1, because me and my buddy John here, we were kind of just back and forth doing the same thing. So he played a spirit, I played a spirit, we traded off. Here I got a Nexus out, his turn, he gets a Nexus out, passes back, and we kind of just slowly mirror each other to this first game. It's really interesting. So here we drop the Lamorak. We have our, I believe, the Rotting Swamp in the back, and we swing in with the Lamorak. We get a Tick of Life. Then John does have a burst set, so he's got that nicely. And then he pulls probably one of the best cards in white aggro, I would say. The Valkyrie Mist to bounce me back. And I'm going to say this now. He straight up disrespected this poor Lamorak this whole game. So he's bounced back to hand. And now he's got the Spirit on board. And he should be swinging here for life if I don't mistake. Yeah, there we go. So he takes a tick at life. And see how we're kind of back and forth. Really much slower matchup than we expected. And so I drop a Beldegor to remove him after he removed my Lamorak. Now, we'll say there's a lot of stuff here. And Lamorak's back on the board now. A lot of interesting stuff came out now in set 3. I am looking forward to trying out the blue crush stuff. The blue adds a lot of stuff. Purple got a lot of curse support, and I'm definitely looking forward to trying that out. But right now, I'm going back to the good old classic core control. I just love Nemesis and the Shadows kind of build. That was probably my favorite still going on. Purple and yellow are kind of my main ones. So here we go with... he's playing Far-Flung Lands, which is interesting because I don't really see that one come up too often. So, and here we see the Trickster Machine God Loki come down. So he's just explaining some of the effects, because it's been a while since I played against white, honestly. But I like that my locals, you know, it's pretty diverse. Everybody plays a slightly different color. Everybody has their own builds. It's everybody has fun with it. There's a lot of different things. Although we did have a certain archetype this night that really showed itself. So we go ahead and block so we can get that Beldegor in the trash. And we're getting some good cores now. So here we decide to go for the cheeky play. We just deadly balance it before we summon any spirits to get it off the board. It gets him a token out, which is fine. We can deal with a token. We go ahead and bring the Lamorak in. It's the same Lamorak. I think this is the 3rd time he's been summoned this game. So, yeah, poor Lamorak's been abused quite a bit. Just keeps getting bounced. And so here we go ahead and swing with the Lamorak. And he decides to just take it from life. So that ends our turn. He's also have a good amount of cores. This game was such like a slow burn that we just were both slow to set up and really get rolling. And it was just kind of removal, or bounce. And so nothing really advanced that quickly. So here he comes in. We're deciding if we want to do anything about it. We decide to take it from life to help us get a few more cores in. Now we can start having some fun. So we drop the Purple Smoke Valley so that we can summon the Beldegor to pop it. Now ideally we probably should have dropped a Mordred if we had one in hand. The Mordred would have removed the cores, and then we would have been able to draw from that Smoke Valley. But we decided just to go with the classic Beldegor play. Setting a burst. And now I would say the best bet is just swing with the Lamorak and then have the Beldegor for blocking. Or either way, because Lamorak dies, we would have been able to bring the Beldegor from trash. But no, he gets Dream Bombed again. Oh, this poor Lamorak cannot stay on the field. He is just forever banished to the hand. I said, Lamorak got a little use and abuse in this round. He just never got to stick around, kept getting sent home. So here's the Black Jagguard coming down, and luckily our Beldegor is in okay situation because we did core him up so he doesn't get bounced. So he's got his Jagguard kind of cored up, and seeing the Soul Core in the reserve is kind of, I would say, kind of a tell that he probably has suppressions in hand. If not just the probably an Ice Wall set, or Ice Shield set on this burst, but seeing that one little Soul Core there in reserve kind of makes me feel that he probably also has suppressions in case he wants to go that route. So we decide to go for the Curse play here. Now, it doesn't do much, only taking one core from him. Would have been nice if we had seen Bishop. And none of my Nexuses for draw, none of them trigger because they're all for attack step, and this was the main step. His Farflung Lands, though, because he has it at 3 cores for the level 2 effect. Level 2 effect says it gets a core if I have a when summoned effect, or summon a spirit with when summoned. So he's just remembering it right there, so he gets the core up. So it's actually a very good Nexus to have here against the purple matchup. That was wasn't teched in, it was already in the deck. And here I dropped the Soul Crush. Now this has become probably one of my favorite cards so far to come out of set 3 in this tournament. I've been using it. I get to use it quite a bit. Did get to pull the SPR of that and trade it for a second one. But I have found so much value with it. It has become so good. And because he had that Soul Core in his reserve, he was not able to bypass it. Had he had the Soul Core left on Jagguard, he could have definitely saved it, because the Soul Crush does not work on spirits that have the Soul Core on them. But I have really come to love that magic card. I think it is one of my new favorite magics to come out. So here we are. We're just going to kind of build up. He did set another burst, so he probably has another Ice Shield. And here we have Mordred. So we're going to kind of go for a little combo here. Coring up the little gunner there isn't going to do much because Curse Dragon's at level 2. Curse Dragon's going to remove all but one core, and then Mordred can swing and remove that one core. We have quite a few ways to actually deal with this spirit, because Curse Dragon's going to take away everything except one, and then Mordred will remove the last one, or we could have just swung with the Camelot and Curse. But here we see he trips the Ice Shield, which we knew was going to happen. So now it's his turn, and he's got to figure out what to do. We are definitely putting a lot of pressure on him. We're going very wide on the board. He may be running out of Ice Shields already, so he gets the Loki's not a bad play here, because he can swing, bounce my Camelot, or he could, of course, block to bounce the Camelot. But here he's bouncing it, which isn't a big deal. We can just drop it next turn. It's going to be a free drop anyway. And he's just trying to see if he gets through, but we trip our own Ice Shield, so we don't have to risk losing any of our spirits. But he did core up enough on the Odin so that it can refresh during my attack step. Now this would be a good spot if we had another Soul Crush or something to remove the core so it doesn't get the restand or the bounce effect. But we decide we're going to go ahead and go into attack step. I think I'm just clarifying what levels he has what effects on the Odin. So we go attack, we go ahead and swing so that we can remove all the cores from Odin. So now it can't get its bounce effect when it blocks. And then he decides to block with it. Now we can swing with the Curse unit. And here he is kind of made the mistake here. He realizes even the suppression's not going to help against Curse. And even if he waited to block one of the other ones, he would still have 2 attacks coming through. So that wraps up game 1. So game 2, very similar start. We drop the Rotting Swamp and then we pass over. And he drops the Gunner. Classic white aggro start. He gets the Gunner out and then just goes ahead and swings. I have no way to... I don't know why I even checked to see if I have a response or a flash, because I've wasted all my cores. I couldn't flash anything anyway. So here we're going to try to get some stuff out. So we get the Cavalier out to draw some cards. And then we core it up to level 2, so we have a nice 4,000 blocker on board. And then we just pass back. And here's where it definitely feels like he's playing white aggro a little more. Because very similar to the last game, his next drop is the classic Valkyrie Mist. You can see it there in his hand. So he goes for the Valkyrie Mist, paying the 3. Bounces my, which is kind of okay because we get another card draw next turn anyway. But here's where it's kind of dangerous, because now he's going to put me down to, potentially put me down to 2 life turn 2, and I don't have any ice shields. If I don't draw one, it's going to be an issue. So here we got to try to get clever, so we use what cores we have to flash in the Soul Crush and get rid of that Gunner before he does his damage, keeping us at 3 life. I feel much more comfortable at 3 life than being down to 2. So we get the Cavalier so we can try to see what we draw. It looks like we drew another Soul Crush, and then luckily we have the Mordred, so the Mordred is going to deal with Valkyrie Mist. And now we start playing our control game. So we've removed his board. We've got him down pretty low. And it looks like we did get the Ice Shield. So we're stabilizing here. We're doing pretty good. We go ahead and go for the chip of damage because he's going to have to reset. Yes, he'll have more cores to deal with this time around, but he is at a reset point. He has no reductions on field. So feels okay getting the chip in. I don't like to get too aggro. I used to be a very aggro player, and it would realize it hurts because you're giving your opponent too much resources. And Curse controls, you know, you play in control deck, you gotta kind of pace yourself a little bit. So here he swings in with the Odin, and I gotta decide what to do. So I decide to hit the Amethyst Radiance to boost my Cavalier so that it is also 5,000, so that I can go ahead and hit the trade off with it. Plus it also gives us a card draw, so we get the plus 2,000 and we get a card draw because we had 3 on board, and luckily we have another Cavalier in hand, so we keep the card draw going. Purple has such good card draw. Honestly, the loss of Netherworld Depths is pretty minuscule when you compare all the card draw abilities throughout Purple. I think it's still probably one of, if not the best color, at least my favorite at this point. And so we go ahead, swing the Cavalier, and do a chip of damage, and we go ahead and keep the aggro going, put him down to 2. This way next turn we can kind of test to see if that is an Ice Shield. Here comes the Falcon. That one's one that we haven't seen yet come down. I'm thinking we went full aggro this turn just because we're probably feeling okay since we have the Ice Shield set. So we'll survive the turn. We can afford to kind of push it a little more because we have an Ice Shield to help us survive. And we have a better board, or had a better board set up. So here we see him setting up to counter somehow. But I think he's thinking whether or not he wants to attack or just stay defensive. Obviously the Odin is one that works both offensive and defensive. He goes ahead and swings the Falcon, and to block, or to flash or not to flash is the question, but looks like we just take it from life. No flash on his end, and we just get our turn so that now we can try to deal with him here. So we drop a little Demo Bones. You know, I feel like I like Demo Bones more than I like the Elemental. I used to run the Elemental. I've actually taken about 4 Demo Bones because Demo Bones lets you be a little more aggressive. And here we play the second Soul Crush, again my favorite card out of set 3 for Purple, and that puts his Odin to 1 core so that I can swing and get that core off. And now he's in a hard situation because I'm swinging in. He can't really block here, so we're going to do a little flash dance here. So he takes that one from life. I need to swing in. And so I swing in, try to end it. He suppressions so that he can stay large enough. And then we just deadly balance and thinking that's game. And then boom, inescapable avalanche to bounce us back to hand. But Demo Bones is still on board to end the game. And he could not get back in time. So that's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you join us next time.